Welcome to the session. For folks that are joining, I'd love to know a few things about you. It's always more fun if folks are in the chat, and it's always good to know where people are coming from to teach one of these. So if you can jump in the chat and tell us your role and location, and if you're a true A student and you want to get ahead on the assignment, I'll want to know how much you use Claude and what part of today's agenda most intrigues you. So role and location, I'm gonna take a look. We've got folks tuning in, California, from all over. LA, oh hey Sarah. KC, ooh. KC, St. Louis, KC, LA. There's Yuki. I love to see it. Sao Paulo, LA, Gus, love to see it. Awesome. And I think that's Genevieve, amazing. And tell me how much you use Claude. Is it monthly, weekly, daily, never? Oh, thank you, Ariel. Every day. Cool. Never. That's the range I like to see, to be honest. Love it. Sweet. Daily, weekly. For folks rolling in, we're jumping in the chat and talking about our role, our location, how much we use Claude, and if anything really stood out to you about today's session. Sarah says, I do baby level stuff with Claude, rewriting and summarizing, and want to use it at a higher level. I think today's session will be helpful. I'll talk a little bit more about this, but I feel like I'm only a few steps ahead. So today is not a fancy, high-level, high-tech, developer-led session. It's really just like, hey, I've been messing around a lot with Claude, and I've gotten a few cool results, and I'm bad at it. And like in our supplementary documentation, I've even included like how I've done things badly and how to improve them. So hopefully by being just kind of like vulnerable and raw about the learning process, that will intrigue you. I think that's a good segue. Jess, over to you.
Yeah, awesome. Hi, my name's Jess.
We cannot hear you, which is funny because we tested for so long, moments before everyone arrived. Check.
I can hear you, Jess.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Everyone else can hear you, so I'm the problem. Sorry.
Okay. No, I was like, dang it, we did test. My name's Jess. I'm the Social Media Club Kansas City president. We just relaunched Kansas City this last fall, and so we're kind of up and going our club after a brief hiatus. Mandy is the current president for Social Media Club LA. She is the vice president for Social Media Club Global, among other accolades that you can see. She is highly renowned in this field, in my opinion, my mentor, and just overall knows so much about not just AI, but social media in general, which I'm super excited about. Because we're all coming from different places, I don't want to take too much time talking about the upcoming events for each of our orgs. Next slide. LA does have a networking event this Thursday. If you would like to join, I know their link is in their bio. Kansas City, we have a really cool creators brunch this Sunday. Also linked in our bio if you want to come to that. We're super excited. We partnered with a local restaurant, a couple local MCs and hosts in the area, and we're excited to make content together. And then global, we actually just announced our Hashi winners. If you don't know, Social Media Club hosts an award series each year, and we just announced our 2025 winners. I know I saw a lot of LA in the chat. There's quite a few LA-based winners. There's a couple St. Louis ones that I saw in the chat, and then we also have some KC and New York ones as well. Definitely check those out. And if you are a Social Media Club member, you get a free entry into Hashies each year. It's a great way to get feedback, whether you're a silo in your area or not. It's just a great opportunity to submit your work, get some judges' feedback from some C-suite level execs in our field. Sorry, weird pop-up. And it's just a fun thing that we've done, and it went global this year, and so anyone can submit. So with that, I'm going to give the rest of the time to Mandy because I know she has so much to impart on us with Claude for sure. Mandy, all you.
Let's begin the imparting. All right, you know where you are. You're in low code apps in Google Drive using Claude. It's not actually Claude. I just said Claude for SEO. While I went down this journey of figuring out how I made all of these, I actually used Claude, ChatGPT, and Gemini for each different project. But Claude is the talk of the town, and we love gaming SEO, and we had 100 RSVPs, so it worked. But like all of these are accomplishable with Claude. We'll talk more about that. Yeah, but that's where you are. You already know who I am. And why me? So I mentioned this as folks rolled in. Previous experience with the Olympics, CBS, Fox, UCLA, USC, Kahoot, Elf on the Shelf, Atlantic Magazine, Cirque du Soleil, bunch of brands. And probably more importantly is that I own an agency and I hate wasting time and money. And so as AI has been rolling out, I've been trying to find safe ways to save people time. I said code experience, let's call it 0. Yeah, like I was on Zanga. I did the MySpace things, the DeviantArt things. Like a lot of people that came up in this industry were forced or got to learn a lot of code. But frankly, I'm gonna say let's call it 0. Zanga forever. I'm glad that we've got folks in the room who know what I mean. But I will say the place that you're in virtually is Social Media Club, and we're all about growing careers. And I can't tell you how many meetings, one of these just happened last week, where someone says, oh yeah, like at our team, we're doing this thing and it really helps. It's not something that's showing up in a LinkedIn post. It's not something where people are making content about it. People are just doing cool things behind the scenes and making it happen. This has been one of those things that I've been telling people about. Every time I teach them, they're excited. And most importantly, I'm saving my team time. And as a member of Social Media Club who absolutely loves this org, I always love to bring that kind of thing to the table. You know about it, socialmediaclub.org. Please consider becoming a member. It helps us pay for our website. It's $100 a year. Jess already said you get a free Hashies entry. Guess how much Hashies entries cost? $100. You get member sessions like these. You get network, and my constant testimonial is that they have sent me $1 million in business and counting, and so I believe in the network. All right, cool. What are we going to talk about? Couple things: automated processes, process documentation, and project calculations. We're going to talk a little bit about, within automated processes, contract creation, team notifications, and folder creation. We'll talk about SOPs and wikis, and we'll talk about a dashboard. I am going to drop our Google Doc that we're going to be reviewing. If someone can jump into the chat and let me know that you can indeed see it, that would be helpful. And my goal is that we're sort of going down where my own process has been, but then also sort of in complexity. And I want to start with the recipe. So I mentioned you can use any LLM for this. I will say that I've had the feedback, and I'm sure maybe you have all observed this, where when you're on a free mode, things can be slower or maybe not as thorough. Frankly, with these types of projects, a good prompt will probably fix this. But I will say, like, I use paid versions of all of these, and so prefacing that with it might have been a smidge easier for me. Google admin access. So a lot of today is about Google Apps, and so you need admin access or an IT bestie who will let you do things. You generally just need to turn things on and allow scripts to run internally, which a lot of, if it's at your workplace, a lot of places might not necessarily have set up. It would be actually bananas for your IT to just let you run any app that you wanted at a company. So if you have your own domain, or if you know someone who does, like, that should be your sandbox, and then you can pitch this up. depending on how involved IT is. And then persistence. That's really what we need to pull off what we're going to talk about today. Let's talk about the low code mindset. So my theme of the year that I don't say publicly, but we're all friends, is can this be made easier? There is friction, right? We were talking about this, where is there a task that regularly takes a lot of time? Can we make it faster? Or boy, I'm spending a lot of money on this thing like software that only solves one simple problem. Like maybe there's a way to make it. And so there's sort of three things that I think about when it comes to low code, vibe code, no code, whatever you want to call it. I might not know the terminology, but I know what I need to do. Like I'm 5 vocab words away from understanding this. If I were more technical, this would probably be easy. And if this app had more features, my problem would probably be solved. Frankly, like these Google apps are, and I ranted about this in a LinkedIn post, and a few of you are here for this, which is like, why can't I duplicate a Google folder that has subfolders? That is a feature that is not in Google. And so there's just like a couple of things where you're just like, why doesn't this exist? Like this should exist. I was comparing it to Microsoft Word recently, where things like Microsoft Word and Photoshop have so many buttons that you never actually use them. If you're in a space in Google where you're like, I actually want more buttons here, like I'm missing features that seem obvious, app scripts are like lifesavers for this. Privacy, let's talk about it. There's so many things to talk about with AI, but if it's private, keep it private, right? However, the reason why I chose Google Apps today and the reason why I personally choose to experiment with them is that it's all internal. You're just creating code to create things within your own encrypted drive from your own encrypted information. You're not sharing any of this. You're not publishing any code. You don't need to upload any information into AI that could be private, which is why I think it's really helpful and why it feels safe and helpful for us. And then when it comes to standard operating procedures, I noted, like, if it's nothing special, be honest with yourself, don't sweat it. How to run meta ads, which is my sample today. We've done a bunch of calls about this, about how our standardized procedures for naming campaign sets, etc. This is not special. It is not special. Like naming conventions is not special. I don't sweat about uploading a transcript of a call where I talk about naming your meta ads. All of our data is being generalized and put into a big pot, and frankly, we're all benefiting from it. So proceed at your own discretion. All right, and we already talked about why I chose Google Apps. All the information is sourced within your own drive. All right, let's talk about it for the rest of the time. I'm going to do something sort of boring and just go through the Google Doc because there's a lot of screenshots and prompts and stuff, and I'd rather you just kind of see the source material. All right, so these pageless things are like cool, but not cool. Let's start with Google Apps. So seems so simple, right? Send an email without leaving a Google Doc. I promise we'll get to more interesting things, but like I said, we're gonna tier how I learned and sort of complexity for you to see where we landed. So the use case of sending an email without leaving a Google Doc. My sales team said, Mandy, we don't know when you do sales calls. We need to know when the notes are in. Can you Slack us and email us? And I immediately heard friction because I'm a woman of back-to-back meetings. And this was something that I was just regularly not accomplishing because I had a lot of back-to-back meetings. They needed to know about this. And so I was like, I wonder if there's a way. And there is. So I built a button that sends a Slack message and notification email within a Google Doc. So I don't have to leave. I can literally just click the button and it notifies them and includes the notes. This is what it looks like. It's right in the doc. I probably should have like enabled one here so you all could see one. And we can do this for absolutely anything. If anyone's feeling super creative, one of the things I wanted to add is all the other ways that you could use something like this. Like I said, you could send client notes. So if you are thinking big and you're like, oh, like how could I use, I don't know, an email within a doc button? Let me know, drop it in the chat about other use cases. So a note on the Slack notification. Not sure how many of us use Slack. I'm a big Slack fan. You can email a Slack channel, which is how we do this. This is just a side note. You can also subscribe a Slack channel to an RSS feed. These two quote unquote hacks, that are existing features, these two hacks have been very helpful for us. So it actually emails the Slack channel. It's not connected to Slack. It just emails it. I'll also note another Google hack and underutilized Google feature is Google Groups. Like, we've had so many people join Social Media Club and Zole, my agency, who've never used them. And they're sort of I'm sure we must have listserv people on the chat. Like, they're from a different use of email and technology, like listservs. But the cool thing about the way that I've set this up is that I have it going to our sales group. And what's great about that is that I'm not listing each sales team member. I'm just sending it to the group, and you can control whoever's in that group. So I never need to think about this again, because it's always going to reach the current members of that group without having to like go fix the code and change the emails within it. Oh, and then something else that's nifty is that you can edit the subject line and the body of the email. There's like tons of customization if you want to add links and add formatting, like if there's something that's client facing or external facing. Maybe you do a sales call and you want to send them the formatted notes, right? Or you want an introduction, or I wanted to email all of you the session that you just went to. We can build all of that. So as promised, I told you I would share how to do things badly. I don't like the word dumb, but like talk silly to the AI, like talk as ignorantly as possible just to get started. This has been so helpful for me. So I just said, is it possible to code in Google Apps a button embedded in a document that emails someone something? I will be honest, I knew a couple of these vocab words because of asking other silly questions. But I just said like, hey, is this possible? You can ask it like, what are the tech solutions to fix this problem? Can I do it within Google? Like, can I use insert XYZ software? I'm always saying, you know, we pay for Airtable, Slack, and Google. Like, is there a way to do it in those exact apps? And it will give you options and can teach you from there. So that's how I started. Is it possible? And then it like gave me a few options, and I was like, cool, let's make the recipients this, subject line this, body this. And then it teaches you how to do it. So I am not going to spend today showing you how to do it, but truly it took like 3 tries, and now I can do this in my sleep. I've done it on so many sheets. You're going to see 2 other examples of how it's done. But you go into extensions, which is right here, actually. It's a little easier to demonstrate. And you paste the code, you click save, you click deploy. If you want to get fancy, you can go test it, right? That's quite literally it. If you are a Zanga, DeviantArt, MySpace, WordPress past coder, like it's pretty easy to scan the code and see what's going on. It tends to be short. And you can always say, another one is there anything else I can do? Like, what are some other features that I could do? Like, what are other ways to make this more efficient, and work through it? I gave you the bad prompt, but for your copy paste needs, I gave you the good prompt. I need a Google Apps script for a Google Doc that sends an email notification when triggered. Like, I always forget the word triggered. Please write the complete ready to paste script with setup instructions. This is like so key for me. Like, just tell me what to do. Like, I am not a dev. Sometimes it'll assume I'm a dev, but like a web developer. Like, no, like walk me through like I'm 5. Here's the trigger method. So you can also create a custom menu item, a sidebar button, a dialog button. Here's what I want it to be labeled. This is something that I am still bad about. I don't bother to rename the label. So it just says notification email. Straightforward. I just let the robot decide what to call it, but you can get really fancy. You'll see below shortly how I did get a little fancier. I started making drop downs, but you can name the button label, you can name the menu, you can name the recipients, subject line, body, and any additional requirements. So things like pull the client name from the document, show a confirmation email after sending, log the event connected to a Google Sheet, or include HTML formatted email body. So that's how it's done. Literally now, my team can be notified that something happened. All right, now we're digging a little deeper. Duplicating a Google folder. And something I should have said on LinkedIn is that, yes, you can duplicate a Google folder, but you can't duplicate a templated project, right? So anytime that we onboard a client, we have an agency, there's standard structure to our asset management, and there's things that we always need to give them. We need to give them a discovery questionnaire. We need to give them an assets request list. We need to give them our handbook and understanding of when our holidays are. We want all of our subfolders set up, things like notes, strategy, assets, reports. For the sake of organization, every single folder is set up the same, so the team knows exactly how to navigate. They know how to onboard, and it's straightforward and clear. And we were manually duplicating these, you all. That's a pain. It's friction, right? Because we needed to make the main folder and the subfolders and all of the relevant documents therein. And like on any computer, you can just copy paste a folder and it'll just copy paste the contents. So I was like, there's got to be a better way. Can this be made easier? It's our theme of the year. So what does this look like? It is a folder, or sorry, it is a button that says create client folder. It is sourcing. We talked about all of these variables up here, right? It is sourcing a ton of information from our Google Sheet of our new clients. So once again, I'll tell you how I did it badly. Here's how I stumbled. I mean, I didn't do it badly. ChatGPT lied to me. And when I was reviewing this, I realized that I did not have thinking mode turned on. And once again, I'm just asking silly questions. So I said, how do I make a Google folder I can duplicate for each client? And it was like, just make it. And then just copy it. And I was like, check online. You're absolutely sure I could duplicate something like that? And it was like, I checked online and here's the clear, accurate picture. You can't. And I was like, cool, I know that. That's why we're here. Can we? And I said, can you do it with code? Y'all, I am not fancy. I'm not a dev. I am just asking these silly questions. And it said, yes, you can. You can create that whole folder, including subfolders and files with code. And so here's how you prep, because showing up ready helps. I'll show you why, because there's lots of things to copy paste in. Like I said, we have a spreadsheet that lists client name. And as promised, we're going to keep layering on this. But there's client name, there's project managers, there's people that it needs to be shared with, etc. So you'll want, wherever you want information to come from, you don't need to personalize it, right? Like, let's say you're teaching the same class over and over again, or let's say that as a writer, you always use the same like brainstorming format. Let's say you lead the social media club global and you need to duplicate all of the folders of things that each chapter, each city needs. If you have any examples of ways that you could use this, tell me, because I love hearing like potential use cases. But you don't need to customize any of it, right? I do think it's wise to have a destination folder, because Lord knows I don't want rogue folders just like floating around in my drive. So I think that's wise. But you could always go fix it. So there are things that you're going to put in. You're going to put in the name. In our case, it's the client name. You want to name the folder. So we get fancy, let's call it. We always do client X Zole. That way they know how to find their folder and we know how to find their folder. let's call it Google Drive SEO. And then we have a destination folder, that's our client folders. And of course, you're gonna have which folder you wanna duplicate. So that folder ID, and you're pulling it, it's right here. You're pulling it from the Google URL. And how do you figure all of that out? You just ask, all right, where do I find that? I'm so lazy that I just say, hey, here's the URL, you do it. But if you're feeling fancy, you can go grab it yourself. But I always miss like one character, and I'm just like, here's the URLs for the right thing, write the code. Cool. And then I also have it log. We talked about that. So I have it log in the exact same database. We can share the recording. In the exact same database, I have it note right next to client name. Here's the Google folder. Lovely. And then, you know, for the end of the prompt, have the script fully ready. Oh, and then like, you know, please return the save script. So we talked about it. Make your template folder. The super nifty thing about the template folder is that anytime you update that base folder, that's exactly what it's going to duplicate in the future. This has been a pain for us in the past, where we just updated our intake, our discovery call structure, and there's a worksheet that's totally optional for clients. And so since we updated that, I now needed to train someone to make sure that they use the updated one and don't even look at the old folders, because that uses the old one, and that gets tough. Now that there's a template folder, they don't need to know. They just click the button and it just goes to the right place. They don't need to think about permissions. They don't need to fix naming. All of it's personalized to the client, so it feels like a little bit more personal. It feels like it's made for them. Plan your destination, like I said, and then plan your starting point. So this has been a godsend in a number of ways. Like it's reducing training, it's speeding up our onboarding, which clients always enjoy. So it's been really helpful. Thanks, Yuki. I'm so happy. It's always weird talking to a void, so I really appreciate folks jumping in. All right, and how has this like escalated? So how are apps starting to talk to each other? So we started with, okay, I can make this button. Okay, I can duplicate a folder. Okay, now I'm paying for contract creation software, but it is pulling from the same 4 contracts that lawyers provided us years ago. So all we are doing is filling out basically what looks like a Google form or type form with our name. It makes us, this is what really drove me bananas, y'all. I almost thought about like theming this, what's annoying, but it makes me sound a little annoying, but it drives me bananas that our contract software asks me to put my business name, my business address, my business project manager email, and my email every single time. And by my, I mean my admin. That is a waste of time. Why can I not just click I'm the client? And with the rollout of Google signatures, I was like, oh, I smell not having to think at all. Because if we can make a contract creation software all within the same database, which, as you all know, already exists because we're already creating the client folder, what if I could just click, make the contract, and send it for signing all within Google? You can. That is our contract creation tool. For those OG coders and people that have just been using computers for a while, and in my experience, anyone who's used mail merge, this is going to feel really easy. This is what it looks like. It says Zole Tools. Once again, I really need to start renaming it, but cute that the AI added a little emoji. It kind of makes it stand out. And then generate contract. So this has other drop-down options that we have, but for the sake of today, let's start with a bad prompt. This one is Gemini. So you have now seen, as promised, you've seen a Claude screenshot, you've seen a ChatGPT screenshot, and then it hit me, you all, why did this take me so long? Wait a minute, I'm making things for Google. Why not use Google to make things for Google? Um, over time, knowing the source material for each LLM has really helped. So the way that ChatGPT thinks and also its source material, the way that Claude thinks and its source material, and the way that Gemini thinks and its source material is all different. What does that mean? I'm not an expert, but there's a few things. One, Google, why would Google share everything with a competitor? It doesn't. So Claude and ChatGPT cannot see all of Google because it does not share. So if you need something summarized from 200 blog posts of yonder years, Gemini. If you need something for Google Apps, Gemini. Anthropic, as a company, was created in rebellion to ChatGPT. And that's a fascinating story. There's a lot of great books about it. And they philosophically differ from ChatGPT and what they're trying to accomplish. Like I said, I'm not an expert. I do read a lot. I do experiment a lot. It's just a little safer. And the way that they approach data structure is different. But all that to say, if you're making a Google app, don't be like me. Start with Gemini if you have it. So here's my bad prompt. I want to create a form to make this easier to export. What should the form fields be? I am chunking this task. Anyone who uses AI a lot knows that you can sort of break its brain, especially if you have a bad starter prompt. So, hey, I want to create a contract generator. That is not going to work. It probably will, but it's going to start in sort of a bad direction. And this is a more layered approach. And so I knew that I wanted to start with a form because I knew that's exactly what the software that I was already using was doing. It was just taking form fields and sticking them in the same contract. So I was like, let's start with that form. And the form asks a few things. Sorry to scroll around, but it asks things like, what's the start date? What's the end date? What's the company name? What's the client name? Payment amounts, payment frequency. This can source from that existing spreadsheet, and we are experimenting with that. But at present, I was trying to make my life easy and make collaboration easy and reduce mistakes. And so we made a form. So I worked on that, and anyone who's made a form pretty much anywhere knows that it can sync with a database. And within said database, you can click generate for the row, and then it will fill in the relevant contract. And we have like a bunch of subcontracts depending on which thing is being served. That is a teaser for something I'm not actually going to show you because it's still in progress and I didn't want to confuse anyone. But once we say they are using this service, and this service, it can generate the proposal and pricing on our back end so that we can price for ourselves internally and we can price for ourselves externally, which is how we're staying on track and providing clients the best possible service we can at the price that matches like the various folks and services that we use. So in your contract, how you're going to prep it. I am not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. I am merely replacing my existing software with a previously created contract. But if it's really repetitive, which a lot of people are, one of my potential use cases for this is creators. Like if anyone's doing creator deals, people have to do this all the time. And so a lot of people, man, I met so many big people at this Sprout Social influencer management event, and so many people with massive budgets and massive teams are still doing this by hand, like themselves. They're still reaching out by hand. They're still negotiating over email, like they're not using these platforms. And then they have to collaborate or create the contract themselves by doing mail merge. So in your contract, you insert and replace the fields with tags in double brackets. Starting date, client name, etc. You can format this however you want. This was just comfortable for me, and Gemini liked it. So we've prepped all of our things, and you've seen my bad prompts. Here's your good prompt. Act as a Google Apps script expert. Write a script that generates contract generation. When a form is submitted, capture columns B through G. Use doc ID. You paste the ID. Like I said, I just asked the robot to do it, but it's just up here. Ensure the date from column B is formatted as, ooh, I forgot about this. I told Gemini to write this prompt for you. As month, day, year. Name the new file, contract, client name, date. Ooh, we would get, I don't want to say the word lazy, but we would get efficient about this, and we didn't always follow the same naming conventions, so then it's even easier to find later. Oh, I love it. And then create a menu. Call it admin tools with a button to run for this, for whatever row I've highlighted. What I like, I'll add, what I like about the form to spreadsheet to contract option is that sometimes, this actually just happened, a client will say, oh, actually, can you use this email? Or actually, like, this person needs to sign off. Or actually, can we do this project instead? And once again, we used to have to go into proposals and contracts and rewrite everything and repaste everything and archive the old document because we didn't want to forget that their old contract was this and this is version 2, and then reorganize it and put it into archive, and then go update the spreadsheet. Now you can just go edit the spreadsheet and it will just, you can just click create contract again, rather than all of that mental effort of pulling things in and potential mistakes from having to redo it. So yeah, and then you just tell it which tags to replace. So starting date, client name, client address, amount, frequency, all that jazz. All right, those are our 3 levels of Google Apps. Any questions so far? That was the heaviest part. All right, I know I'm throwing so much at you, but yeah. All right, I'm looking at the note. AI hallucinates at times. I'm sure it'll get better. In the meantime, what are you doing for quality control, especially with legal documents? I'd be mortified if the quality was subpar. Yeah, so it's not making anything. We already have a contract. It's literally just filling in client names. I absolutely do not recommend having chat make your contracts. Once again, I'm not a lawyer, but this is like basic advice, and like just all of tech, you can miss out on a lot of things. I will say, if we're signing a contract and I'm reviewing it or I'm going to a lawyer, it can be helpful to ask AI, once again, privacy at your own risk, remove your information, remove important information, but hey, is there anything weird in this contract that I should know about? I found that really helpful to show up to a meeting with a lawyer, like educated and faster and more efficient, because almost every single time it will spot something that I missed from my limited legal knowledge. Yuki, I love that. It's just Mad Libs, right? So like we have sourced, the source document is all spick and span. It's literally just filling things in. It's deceptively simple, but I hope that helps everybody like think about ways like, oh, there's this thing that I'm spending, if you're highlighting and copy pasting something over and over and over again into any context, like titling, emailing someone, filling some sort of format in. I think all of us in every single job has something templated. It could be creative, right? Like a creative brief, or design naming, asset naming. Like there's so many things that you can create an app for. I'm not talking about this one today, but something I created was a content ranking system. So our clients are sending us big archives. We just started working with a client that is 115 years old, and they've got big archives. And we've got interns and more junior team members, and it's hard for us to remember, oh, that stock photo shoot, real example, that stock photo shoot from 2008 had like 2 good couple pictures. What were they again? And that's institutional knowledge that is lost with someone who is sick or on vacation, or just it was 6 months ago and they forgot. And so we added a starring system So now we can just easily start within the client folder. We can make it client facing or not client facing. And now we can search within all of our Google Drives, like, oh, this is our 5 stars. Like, oh, I could put up with a 3-star because I'm cutting out the background, that kind of thing. Yeah, I am all about, and we will talk about this in a minute. I'm all about, if I'm going to have to repeat myself, or if someone just got trained and they're going to forget, which is everyone, we need to be trained multiple times, then it needs to be reported. And can it be easier? Where's the slide? Can this be any easier? Something like that. Can this be made easier? So changing a line in your spreadsheet will update all of your other docs. How do you make sure a client is looking at the most updated version? It will not update all the docs. That's something nifty. So, and I should have said that, I didn't say this earlier. So that folder template that we talked about, it will not change anything that you've already made. It exists. It's not controlling it. It's not affecting it. For better or for worse, you have made it. And so let's say we want to update our client folder. Here's an example. We started rolling out a content idea worksheet for thought leaders. And so here's shots that we need of everybody. We need your headshots, of course. We need you at a laptop. We need you walking somewhere. We need you just living your life at a coffee shop. Like, these are just sort of ideas for people to get started, broken down by different industries. So if I wanted to provide this to a client who has already onboarded with us, then I'm going to have to go manually add it. Nothing gets changed from your documents that you've already created. So version control is taken care of. With the thing that I mentioned with contracts, you can tell your script every time that I make a new one. There's 2 options. One, you can make a new row. So we like to call it V1, V2. I think our record was version 13. That blew my mind with like how many changes we had despite hours of discovery and chatting about what we'd like to do. And so you can make a new row because then it'll include all the links. But the way that we handle version control is that we manually go put it in an archive folder. So it's still there and it's named V1, V2, V3, which can be built into your archive. If you're the type of person that wants to see each row of each change, you could just make a new row and name it as you wish and source how you wish. I think one of the easiest ways, I'm lazy and I like to avoid mistakes. What I would do is add an extra column that's called version and include that in your naming conventions so that it says like, hey, put a dash, client name, dash, V1, dash, year, however you do things. Cool. Alrighty. Paste the link into the document. Yes, I think I know what you mean, Z. For us, it auto adds, did I put that in here? I meant to, I thought to. In this spreadsheet of like their org name, etc., there's something called contract link. And yes, so like once it makes it, it throws it in for you. You just have to tell it to do that. I believe that is in one of them. Capture column, save folder ID. Yeah,
I did see it.
Right?
Yeah, I was like, I did see it somewhere.
I think it might actually be up here. Output link column. So yeah, anything you want. Like, this is what we named it. This is where we put it. This is when it was submitted. This is when it was signed. I will be honest, our end game was to use Google Signatures and to automate that full process so it just sent out once we approved it, right? We don't like Google Signatures. If anyone here likes them, please let me know. But I've been quite unhappy with that. And anytime something has friction, especially in the intake, nobody wants things to be hard in the beginning. That puts a bad taste in your mouth. And so the intention was, let's keep everything within Google Signatures, but TBH, we have been testing that for months and we don't like it. So this is a free plug, but Social Media Club runs on Jotform. I am blown away by Jotform. It is so cool. and we feel like we're not even scratching the surface. If you think Typeform is cool and you're like a little nerdy, it's kind of like a Windows versus Mac situation. Typeform is pretty, but limited. Jotform has so much connectivity. It can take payments, it can take signatures, it takes all of these different automation options. It plugs into everything. It plays nice with Google Drive, it plays nice with Slack, Zapier, HubSpot. Like, it's mind blowing and actually so much cheaper than a lot of comps, right? Yeah, I never hear anyone mention Jotform, but I inherited it and we've been blown away by it. Hashi Awards runs on Jotform, volunteers run on Jotform. All of my chapter check-ins that are automated to be like, hey chapters, how's it going? Jotform. I can get a text when it's filled out. Ugh, I love it. So that's probably what we're gonna migrate to. All right, we only have 2 more, y'all. And they're way more boring. So creating standard operating procedures. Use case, you just had a call where you explained a process. If you'll ever need to explain it again, or if that person will need step-by-step instructions, you will want to document it. I know that we have a lot of managers in the room. I know that we've all been here. Here's what I said: create an SOP using this transcript. A better situation, how to take it further, is 2 ways. Having a structure, right? Have a structure for how you like to do it. If you are brave and you've plugged Claude into your Google Drive, you can just say, use the wiki structure. And if it's well labeled, it will know. You can copy paste the structure in, and it will take it. But however you choose to do it, minimum viable prompt is this: create an SOP. So we were training an intern in how we like to do ads. And so we said, do it. And it created a document, which you can see here. So a free educational plug: if you do not use the meta ads library, you are missing out. I mean, for anything. Like, it is such a fun place to snoop how brands are spending their money. Like, what holiday does Starbucks care about right now? How are they targeting different groups? You can see every political ad and go snoop that, just out of pure curiosity. You can see so many things, and it's not just if you're an ad buyer. That is a sneak peek into how brands are spending their money, and that is just like, there's so much learning that can be gained from that. By the way, it's not only current. Turn off the right now filter and you can look historically. You can thank Russian election interference for this feature, and I love it. And so as part of our training, we said, go to facebook.com/ads/library and taught them how to do that. And it created an SOP that was 13 pages, and you can just click add to Google Drive, and bada bing, bada boom, it's in there. Yay. Okay, I'll take like literally a single mind blown emoji makes this hour worth it. So awesome. How you can take this further: I am an Otter AI diehard. Mostly I've just sort of been committed to it. Otter AI, which is here, hello, fellow Otter, it takes screenshots as you screen share. So it's not recording the video, it's recording the audio and the transcript, and then it takes screenshots as you see. This has been super helpful when a client will just like pull up a website that we've never seen before and say, see, I like this page or I like that page, and we just like can't speed screenshot fast enough. If you are doing SOPs or trainings, a classic thing, case in point, I don't use these like fancy softwares that like build them. I just grab screenshots and put them into SOPs. Otter's grabbing those screenshots. You could ask Claude to do that and insert it into the document. Would I do that? No, because I tend to break Claude when I have like these really heavy multi-step systems. My computer's too old for the other fancier bots that get into your life, and I'm afraid of that. So I haven't used those features. If you have, I'd be curious, but I do experiment with the Claude browser extension. And I will say my favorite use so far, well, 2 of them, Lightroom, this blew my mind. I was just like, hey, how do I make a photo look like this? I screenshotted the photo, I threw it into Claude. It was like, oh, you need to up this, lower this, blah, blah, blah. And I said, give me the exact numbers, because Lightroom works with like 70% exposure, whatever. And it gave me the exact numbers. And I was like, cool, do it. It did it instantly. For whatever reason, Lightroom on browser and Claude, they talk well, and it just edited the photo. And now I have that script to edit client photos as a code. Like it just unites them. Another one, I mentioned this franchise. They have 300 locations worldwide, and they do not have a database of all of the locations, social media. Woo! Is this my first time? No, this is like my 7th franchise, including all of our friends here, Social Media Club. We did not have a full database. So I just said, hey, Claude, go make the database. And it did. Was it good? No. It was okay, but it was a starting point. It also, oh goodness, it also pulled the top performing YouTube videos of all time for our search term, which was cool, and put it in a database and screenshotted it and gave me the link and gave me the description because I asked for that. So that's how I'm enjoying the Chrome extension. But when it's signing in to something like an Otter, which is sort of a new website, I found that it's a little clunky. I'm seeing nods from Jess. Okay. I'm so happy we're staying on time. Creating project estimates. I'm sorry that this made this into the description. I committed to sharing this before I worked the Olympics, which was very fun. Jess was there. Yes, there's someone talking in the background. Sorry. I don't know how to fix it. I can talk really close to my mic. I don't think this does this feature. This just makes me quieter, right? I don't think this is helping. Okay. I will talk so close to my microphone. So I think this is actually a perfect example of I'm right here with you. I'm learning right here with you. So I'll tell you how we're working on this. And I did not want to give you a bad prompt, but I'll tell you how close we are and like how we're approaching it. So we mentioned that contract generator. This is essentially it's 2 parts actually. It's a proposal generator and a sorry y'all. It's really challenging. Yeah, free workshops. So it's a dev in the background. So we're doing 2 things. We're creating a proposal and we're also creating an internal budget. So we can say, hey, like we can spend more on a shoot because we have more room on this estimate. And like I mentioned, so what we're doing is we're chunking out our contract section, and then we're attaching a price and total hours to each one of those contract sections, but formatting that into a spreadsheet, which is our current work format, or into a separate Google Doc each time. You can see where this starts to get a little difficult. We might be able to source from a Google Doc section. And so, if you're good at headers, like Google can be smart about it, you can insert links, but that seems difficult. Google doesn't play nice with its own outlines yet. And so, or like its own tabs. So this is where we're at, but we're creating each one of those sections. Like I mentioned, we're estimating hours per team member or standard agency rate associated with it. So that we have our internal pricing and our external pricing, and then same thing, mail merge, right? So for our, I mentioned this on LinkedIn, some of you came from that, for our proposals. Some people just have a standard proposal and like a standard package rate. You get A, B, or C. I'm extra, and I don't like to do that because everybody needs something slightly different. They benefit from a little more of this, a little less of this. For example, if you are handing us a fantastic content archive, why would I charge you for shoots? Like if we're not going to do them or we don't think we're going to do them, I would rather your social do well. I want to work within your budget. And so I rearrange your package. This is not advice. People just say don't do this, but I don't like to charge people for something we're not doing. And I just want to do a good job. So However, that makes it harder. It makes it harder to send proposals. It makes it harder to estimate. It makes it harder to budget. So this is where we're going. Like, we're going to take all of the learnings that you learned today. We already had our project calculator. It already exists. We already have the data. We already have the chunked out contract sections. We're just working out how best to use all of these learnings to then create it. And then we got to do a lot of testing to make sure that it's working well. And then I want to get fancy and make a little interactive calculator where the team says, okay, if I remove this, what can I get? That's been in progress for a year, but in the meantime, the existing process works enough that we have not built this solution. So 10:58, any final questions? I hope this helped. I hope it was interesting. It really is just like, here's my current state from learning. And yeah, and may we all go learn together. May you all join our community of learners. You're welcome. And go to LA events. Yeah, Sarah.
Jessica, so if you aren't a member already, I threw a code into the chat. You can use our KC code. Welcome to SMC KC for 20% off membership. If you haven't joined already, KC hosts these every month, every second Tuesday at 12 Central. And so definitely come check us out. You don't have to be in the KC area to come to these lunch and learns. We'll have a variety. My LA folks, we're going to pull a couple more LA people in the next couple of months as well. If you're in the West, like I am, we have an Ohio speaker next month, which I'm really excited about, and then an Iowa speaker in May. And so we cover everywhere. Mandy threw it in the chat. Socialmediaclub.org is how you become a member. That code is not just to be a member for Kansas City. You're a global member. So as long as you're a member, you're a member. Links in bios. I know Instagram is where KC has a lot of our links. I believe LA is the same. Get those tickets. I know networking on Thursday in LA, and then we have a creators brunch on Sunday in Kansas City. Would love to see anyone from around the area join us. So I appreciate you all. Thank you, Mandy. This was so informative. I know I have a to-do list after this meeting. So appreciate you all. I will send that video probably by end of week would be my for sure have that rolled out to you guys. So
thanks, everybody.
Have a great rest of your days.
Bye.